The training hall echoed with the sounds of combat. Metal rang against metal, and bodies hit the padded floors with heavy thuds. Nari stood in line with 40 other cadets, waiting for her turn on the practice mat. She kept her breathing steady and her face calm, even though her heart was racing. Instructor Vex walked between the rows of cadets with slow, deliberate steps. His scales gleamed dark green under the harsh lights, and his yellow eyes missed nothing. He was a Draken, one of the strongest species in the collective, and he enjoyed reminding everyone of that fact. His tail swished behind him as he stopped in front of a trembling Calarian cadet. Pathetic, Vex hissed. Again, and this time, try not to embarrass your entire species. Nari watched the cadet stumble through the exercise again. She had been at the Galactic Enforcement Academy for 3 years now, and she had learned the most important rule: never stand out. Not too weak, not too strong. Always somewhere in the middle where nobody looked too closely. Her wrists felt warm. She glanced down at the silver bracelets she always wore. They looked like simple jewelry, but they were so much more. The metal hummed against her skin, working constantly to suppress what she really was. Today they felt tighter than usual, and a faint red glow pulsed beneath the surface. Nari. Vex's voice cut through her thoughts. You're up. Let's see if you're as mediocre today as you were yesterday. She stepped onto the mat and faced her opponent, a young Mytharian named Kel. He had the advantage in reach with his long, flexible limbs, but Nari had trained herself to compensate. The exercise was simple. Disarm and pin your opponent in under 2 minutes. The buzzer sounded. Kel moved fast, his limbs extending like whips. Nari dodged, feeling the familiar pull in her muscles. The bracelets hummed louder, working harder. She wanted to move faster, hit harder, end this in seconds. But she couldn't. She never could. She let Kel score 2 hits before she made her move. A quick pivot, a grab, and she had his arm twisted behind his back. She applied just enough pressure to make him tap out. 1 minute and 48 seconds. Solidly average. Acceptable, Vex grunted. Next pair. Nari returned to her place in line. Her friend B-Ora stood beside her, her blue-tinted skin darker than most Calarians. B-Ora leaned close and whispered, "Your bracelets are glowing." Nari's stomach dropped. She quickly pulled down her sleeves to cover them. "They're fine. They're red, Nari. I've never seen them do that before." B-Ora's silver eyes were filled with concern. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. Just a malfunction. I'll fix them later." Nari forced a smile, but her mind was already racing. The bracelets were straining. She had been at the academy too long, pushing herself too hard even while trying to hold back. The technology could only do so much. Training ended 2 hours later. Nari headed straight for her quarters, ignoring the groups of cadets heading to the dining hall. She needed to contact Hansal. He would know what to do about the bracelets. Her room was small but private, one of the few luxuries allowed to third-year cadets. She locked the door and pulled out her cum device, activating the encryption protocols Hansal had taught her years ago. The old man's face appeared on the screen moments later. "Nari, what's wrong?" His weathered face creased with worry. Even through the flickering hologram, she could see the gray in his hair had spread since their last call. "The bracelets are failing. They turned red during training today." She held up her wrists to show him God Hansal was quiet for a long moment. "How long do you think they'll last?" "I don't know. Maybe a week? Maybe less? Then we need to get you out of there." "And go where?" Nari felt frustration rising in her chest. "I've been running my whole life, Hansal, hiding, pretending to be something I'm not. I'm tired. I know." His voice was gentle. "But the alternative is, I know what the alternative is. She had heard the stories. Humans weren't welcome in the collective. They were banned from military service, restricted in where they could live and work. Most people believed humans were extinct, their homeworld destroyed in some ancient war. The few who knew the truth kept it secret, because the truth was dangerous. Han-Soul sighed. The bracelets might hold until you graduate. That's only 4 months away. After that, you can disappear into civilian life. Get a fake identity. Settle on some outer rim colony where nobody asks questions. Is that what you want for me? A life in hiding? I want you alive, Nari. That's all I've ever wanted. They talked for a few more minutes before ending the call. Nari sat in the darkness of her room, staring at the bracelets on her wrists. The red glow had faded to a dull orange, but she knew it would come back. It always did. A knock on her door made her jump. Nari? It's me. Biora's voice was muffled through the metal dot. Nari opened the door. Biora slipped inside quickly, looking over her shoulder like she was afraid someone might see. Have you heard? Heard what? They're doing genetic verification scans. All cadets. Starting in 3 days. Biora's silver eyes were wide. They got some new scanning technology from the Luminari. It can detect any species' true genetic makeup, even through modifications or disguises. Nari felt the floor drop out from under her. That's new. I know. Apparently, there's been some issue with spies infiltrating the academy. The commander wants to verify everyone's identity before graduation. Biora sat on the edge of Nari's bed. It's nothing to worry about for most of us, but I know some people have faked parts of their background to get in. They're going to be in trouble. Yeah, Nari managed. Trouble. Biora looked at her carefully. Nari, is there something you're not telling me? You've been acting strange lately, and those bracelets? I'm fine, Biora. Really? The lie tasted bitter in her mouth. Biora had been a good friend for 3 years. She deserved the truth. But the truth could get her killed just for knowing it. After Biora left, Nari contacted Han-Sol again. His response was brief and clear. Running will flag you as suspicious. Stay. Face the scan. Whatever happens, happens. 3 days. She had 3 days before everything she had built came crashing down. 3 days before the entire academy learned what she really was. 3 days before they discovered that a human had been living among them. Training to become a galactic enforcer. Nari looked at herself in the mirror. She had spent so long being careful, being average, being invisible. Part of her was terrified of what was coming. But another part, a part she had kept buried for years, felt something different. Relief. She was tired of hiding. Tired of holding back. Tired of pretending to be weaker than she was. 3 days. Then the whole galaxy would know the truth. The bracelets pulsed red on her wrists, like a countdown timer, marking the end of one life and the beginning of something else entirely. The 3 days passed like a nightmare in slow motion. Nari went through her training exercises, ate her meals, and attended her classes, all while feeling like she was walking toward the edge of a cliff. The bracelets on her wrists grew warmer with each passing hour, their red glow harder to hide. On the morning of the scan, she stood in her quarters and stared at her reflection one last time. The face looking back at her seemed like a stranger. For 3 years, she had seen a Calarian hybrid when she looked in the mirror. Now all she could see was what she really was. Human. Biora met her outside the scanning facility. Are you okay? You look pale. I didn't sleep well, Nari said. It wasn't a lie. She hadn't slept at all. The scanning facility was built into the main training complex. Inside, a massive archway made of silver metal stood in the center of the room. Cadets lined up in rows, waiting their turn to walk through. Most looked bored or annoyed at having to waste training time on administrative procedures. Nari watched as cadet after cadet walked through the arch. Each time, a holographic display appeared above the archway, showing their species, genetic purity, and threat assessment. Every single one came back with green indicators. Normal. Safe. Approved. "This is stupid," a Draken cadet muttered behind her. Like anyone could fake their way into the academy anyway. The entrance exams are too hard. Ba-Ora squeezed Nari's hand. "It'll be fine. Just a formality." Nari wanted to tell her everything. She wanted to explain about Hansol, about Earth, about what the bracelets really did. But the words stuck in her throat. Instead, she just nodded. The line moved forward. 20 cadets ahead of her. Then 15. Then 10. Her wrists burned. The bracelets were struggling now, working at maximum capacity just to keep her genetic signature masked. But it wouldn't matter. Hansol had explained the new scanners worked differently than the old ones. They didn't just read surface biology. They went deeper, reading the fundamental structure of DNA itself. No disguise could hide that. Next. The technician called Nari was 5 cadets away. Her heart hammered so hard, she thought everyone must be able to hear it. 4 cadets. 3. 2. Double quotes. Next. Nari stepped forward. The technician, a bored-looking siren with pale purple skin, gestured at the archway. "Remove all jewelry and accessories before passing through." This was it. The moment everything changed, Nari reached for her bracelets. Her hands shook as she unclasped them. The moment they came off, she felt the difference. It was like taking off a heavy coat on a hot day, like breathing fresh air after being underwater. Her muscles felt lighter, stronger. Her senses sharpened. Everything became more clear, more vivid. She handed the bracelets to the technician and walked toward the arch. "Hold on," the technician said, examining the bracelets. "These are dampening devices. Class 7 genetic suppressors. Why are you wearing these?" Every eye in the room turned toward Nari. "Medical condition," she said quietly. "They help with nervous system regulation." The technician frowned, but waved her through. "Proceed." Nari stepped into the archway. For a moment, nothing happened. The silver metal hummed around her, and she could feel the scan working, reading every cell in her body. Then the alarms started. They were loud, piercing, and came from everywhere at once. Red lights flashed throughout the facility. The holographic display above the archway flickered, and then showed information that made the entire room go silent. Asterisk, asterisk, species. Human-born asterisk, 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 genetic purity. 99.7% asterisk, 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 threat level. Extreme asterisk, asterisk, Nari stood frozen under the archway, watching as 300 faces stared at her in shock. Some looked confused. Some looked frightened. A few looked angry. Human? Someone whispered, "That's impossible. Humans are extinct." "No, I heard there were some left, hiding in the outer colonies. Why would a human try to join the academy? Don't they know they're banned?" The whispers grew louder, overlapping into a confused roar. Biora stood with her mouth open, her silver eyes wide with disbelief. Instructor Vex pushed through the crowd of cadets. His scales seemed darker somehow, and his yellow eyes blazed with fury. "Human!" he roared. "You've been hiding here? Training with us? Learning our tactics?" "I just wanted to serve," Nari said. Her voice came out steadier than she felt. "Serve?" Vex laughed, a harsh, ugly sound. "Humans don't serve. They conquer. They destroy. That's why your kind was banned." He turned to the security officer stationed by the door. "Arrest her, now." But before anyone could move, Vex lunged forward. His leg came up in a devastating kick, the same move that had hospitalized dozens of cadets over the years. His species was the strongest in the collective, and he put all his considerable power behind the strike. The kick would have shattered Nari's ribs, collapsed her lungs, possibly killed her. If she had been any other species, her hand shot out. She caught his leg mid-air, fingers wrapping around his ankle. The impact should have broken her arm. Instead, Vex's leg stopped completely, frozen in place as if it had hit a steel wall. The room went absolutely silent. Nari held Vex's leg with one hand, barely straining. Without the bracelets suppressing her strength, this was easy. Natural. This was what she really was. Vex tried to pull his leg free. His muscles strained, his scales darkened with effort, but he couldn't move an inch. Nari might as well have been holding a child's toy. "Let me go." Vex snarled. "You attacked first," Nari said calmly. "I'm just defending myself." She could see the fear in his eyes now. The realization. Everything he had heard about humans, all the old stories and warnings, suddenly became real. Humans weren't stronger because of technology or tricks. They were just stronger, faster, more durable. Built for a world that tried to kill them every day, evolved to survive anyway. Security officers surrounded them now, weapons drawn. There were at least 20 of them, all different species, all pointing various forms of energy weapons at Nari. "Release him," the head of security ordered. Slowly, Nari let go of Vex's leg. The instructor stumbled back, grabbing his ankle and staring at her like she was some kind of monster. "Hands up. Down on your knees." Nari could have fought. Part of her wanted to. But she had come here to prove something, not to hurt people. She raised her hands slowly. "No," she said clearly. "I won't kneel. But I won't fight either." The security chief's weapon hummed, charging up. "You don't have a choice. Everyone has a choice." Nari looked around the room, meeting the eyes of cadets she had trained beside for 3 years. Some looked away. Others, like Bio-Ra, stared back with confusion and hurt. "I want to speak to Academy Commander Turval. If humans are so dangerous, if we're such a threat, then why am I the top candidate this facility has seen in a decade?" "Top candidate?" Vex spat. "You've been mediocre at best." "No," Nare said quietly. "I've been holding back. Every single day for 3 years, I held back. I made myself weaker, slower, less than what I am. And I still ranked in the top 20% of this class." She looked directly at the security chief. "Imagine what I could do if I actually tried." The security chief's finger moved toward the trigger. "Stand down." A new voice echoed through the facility. It was musical, layered, like multiple people speaking at once. Commander Turval appeared at the entrance, his form glowing with soft golden light. As a luminari, he existed partially as energy, his body shifting and translucent. "Commander," the security chief said, "the human is dangerous. Protocol demands." "I know what protocol demands." Turval floated forward, his light casting strange shadows. "But protocol was written a long time ago, based on fear rather than fact." He stopped in front of Nari, studying her. "What is your name?" "Nari, sir. Nari. You have violated collective law by concealing your species and attempting to join the military. You understand the penalty for this?" "Yes, sir." "Exile to the Outer Rim. Permanent ban from all collective worlds. That would be the merciful sentence." Turval's light pulsed. "Others on the council will call for your execution." The word hung in the air like a blade. Nari felt her breath catch, but she kept her face calm. "However," Turval continued, "I am curious. You stopped Instructor Vex's attack with ease. You could have hurt him, even killed him. You didn't. Why? Because I'm not what you think I am, Nari said. I'm not a monster. I'm just a person who wants to serve and protect people. That's all I've ever wanted. Turval was quiet for a long moment. His light flickered and changed colors as he thought. Finally, he spoke. Then I propose an alternative to execution. A trial. The trial of worth. Nari sat alone in her cell, staring at the blank metal walls. They had moved her to maximum security, the section usually reserved for the most dangerous criminals. The cell was small, cold, and designed to hold beings much stronger than the average person. Force fields hummed at the entrance, and cameras watched her from every angle. She had been here for 2 days since. Commander Turval announced the trial of worth. 2 days with nothing but her thoughts and the weight of what was. The door's force field flickered off. Commander Turval entered, his golden light pushing back the shadows in the small cell. He moved like water, flowing rather than walking, his energy form constantly shifting. Tomorrow begins your trial, he said, settling into a shape roughly humanoid. 5 opponents. 5 different species. You must defeat all of them without killing any. If you succeed, you earn the right to stay at the academy and graduate. If you fail ... double quotes, he left the sentence unfinished. And if I kill someone by accident? Nari asked. Then you will be exiled immediately. Humans have a reputation for excessive force. You must prove that reputation wrong. Nari nodded slowly. Why are you doing this? Why give me a chance at all? Turval's light pulsed in a pattern she had learned, meant he was considering his words carefully. Because I am old, Nari. Very old. I was alive when humans first made contact with the collective. I saw what happened. The rebellion? The wars? No. Turval's voice held something like sadness. The fear. Humans didn't rebel because they were violent or power-hungry. They were simply ... better. Better soldiers, better tacticians, better at surviving impossible situations. In the 10 years humans served in the collective military, they achieved things that other species couldn't match, even with centuries of experience. He floated closer. The other species grew frightened. They saw humans rising through the ranks too quickly, earning too many commendations, surviving missions that should have been fatal. So they voted. They banned humans from military service entirely, called it a security measure. But it was really just fear. And Earth? Nari asked. What really happened? That I cannot tell you. But I will say this. The official story has holes in it that anyone paying attention could find. Turval's light dimmed. I believe humans deserve another chance. But I am only one voice on the council. You must prove it yourself. After he left, Nari lay on the hard bench that served as a bed. She thought about Han Sol, wondered if he was watching the news broadcast about her. By now, the entire collective knew there was a human at the academy. She had seen the headlines on the terminal they allowed her. Last human discovered, an extinct species infiltrates military academy, and her least favorite. Human threat returns. Sleep came in fragments, filled with dreams of fighting and losing, and being sent away to die alone on some forgotten world. Morning arrived too soon. Guards escorted her to the academy's main arena, a massive circular space that could hold thousands of spectators. Today, it was full. Every seat was taken, and more people crowded the standing areas. She saw cadets she had trained with, instructors, even civilians who had somehow gotten access. The arena floor was bare metal, marked with circles for different types of combat. Cameras floated overhead, recording everything for broadcast across the collective. Nari stood in the center circle and waited. First opponent. The announcer's voice boomed. Taeyang of Kalaria, current Academy champion in speed combat. A section of the crowd cheered. Taeyang entered from the opposite side, his blue skin gleaming under the bright lights. He was tall and lean, built for agility rather than power. He carried 2 plasma blades, weapons that hummed with contained energy. They faced each other across the circle. Taeyang bowed, a formal gesture of respect. Narration returned it. I studied humans, Taeyang said. Old records, classified files. I wanted to understand. He activated his blades. I hope you're as good as the stories say. The starting buzzer sounded. Taeyang moved like lightning. His blades blurred as he attacked from multiple angles, using his species' natural flexibility to strike from positions that should have been impossible. Nari dodged and blocked, her enhanced reflexes keeping her just ahead of his strikes. But Taeyang was good. Really good. He had earned the champion title for a reason. His attacks came in patterns within patterns, each move setting up the next. Nari found herself on the defensive, backing up toward the edge of the circle. The crowd roared. They wanted to see the human lose. Nari changed tactics. Humans didn't win by being the fastest or the strongest. They won by adapting. She stopped trying to match Taeyang's speed and instead started reading his patterns. Every fighter had habits, tells moments of predictability. There. A slight drop of his left shoulder before a high strike. A shift in his weight before a low sweep. Nari waited for the pattern to repeat. When it did, she was ready. She stepped inside his guard, caught his wrist, and twisted. Taeyang's blade flew from his hand. Before he could recover, she had him in a lock, his arm pinned behind his back. Yield, she said quietly. Taeyang struggled for a moment, then tapped her arm twice. The universal signal of surrender. The crowd went quiet. Nari released him and stepped back. Taeyang rubbed his shoulder and looked at her with something like wonder. How did you. You're faster than me, Nari said. But I can change my strategy mid-fight. You kept using the same patterns. Taeyang laughed. The old records were right about humans. He bowed again, deeper this time. Would you teach me? After this is over, I mean. If you survive. Second opponent. The announcer called before Nari could answer. Kira of Methra, champion grappler. The arena floor split open. Water rushed in, filling the circle until it was a deep pool. Kira rose from the water, her tentacled form graceful and alien. Metharians were built for aquatic environments, with 4 powerful tentacles and a streamlined body. Nari dove in. The cold water was a shock, but she forced herself to adapt. Kira attacked immediately, tentacles wrapping around Nari's arms and legs. The Metharian was strong underwater, using the environment to her advantage. They sank deeper. Kira tried to pin Nari to the bottom, to drown her or force her to surrender. But human lungs were built differently than most species. Nari could hold her breath for minutes, a survival trait from Earth's ancient diving peoples. She stopped fighting against Kira's strength and instead used it. When Kira pulled, Nari pushed in the same direction, throwing off the Metharian's balance. When Kira tried to wrap another tentacle around her neck, Nari grabbed it and held on, letting Kira tire herself out trying to break free. Minutes passed. Kira's movements became slower, more desperate. She needed to breathe. Nari just needed to hold on. Finally, Kira's tentacles loosened. Nari swam up, pulling the exhausted Metharian with her. They broke the surface together, both gasping for air. How? Kira managed between breaths. How can you hold your breath so long? Human thing, Nari said. Kira laughed weakly. I concede. Well fought. The water drained away. Nari stood dripping on the metal floor, her muscles aching but still strong. 2 down, 3 to go. Third opponent. Vergen of Draken, battle champion. This time the crowd's cheer was different. Darker, hungrier. They wanted to see blood. Vergen entered the arena like a walking tank. He was massive, even for a Draken, his scales scarred from countless battles. Unlike Vex, who used speed and precision, Vergen relied on pure power. He carried no weapons. He didn't need them. They didn't bow. Vergen just charged. The impact when he hit her felt like being struck by a vehicle. Nari flew backward, hitting the ground hard enough to crack the metal. Pain exploded through her ribs. She rolled aside just as Vergen's fist came down where her head had been. The floor dented under the impact. This was going to hurt. Nari got to her feet, tasting blood. Vergen came at her again, relentless. She blocked his strikes, but each one sent shockwaves through her arms. He was stronger than Vex, stronger than anyone she had fought before. But Nari had something Vergen didn't. Human bones were denser than most species, built to withstand Earth's heavy gravity. Human pain tolerance was legendary, evolved from a world that hurt its inhabitants constantly. She stopped trying to avoid damage and started trading blows. When Vergen punched, she punched back. Her fist broke against his scales, but she kept hitting. Again, again. The pain was incredible, but she pushed through it. Vergen's eyes widened. He wasn't used to opponents who just took damage and kept coming. Nari aimed for weak points. The joints in his armor, the softer scales under his arms. She took 3 hits for every one she landed, but her hits counted more. Finally, Vergen's guard dropped. Nari put everything she had into one strike, hitting him in the solar plexus. Her hand broke completely. She felt bones shatter, but Vergen collapsed, gasping for air. Yield. He W-A-Z. Nari cradled her broken hand. Medical staff rushed onto the floor, but she waved them away. Not yet. 3 more to go. The crowd wasn't cheering anymore. They were silent, watching something they had never seen before. A human fighting like the old stories said humans fought. Not with elegance or technique, but with sheer stubborn refusal to quit. The medical team insisted on treating Nari's broken hand before the next fight. They wrapped it in a regeneration cast that would speed healing, but it still throbbed with every heartbeat. She flexed her fingers carefully, testing the range of motion. It would have to be enough. 4th opponent. The announcer's voice had changed. There was less mockery now, less certainty that the human would fail. Lissa of Siren, master of mental combat. The crowd's reaction was mixed. Some cheered, others whispered nervously. Mental combat was different from physical fighting. It was harder to watch, harder to understand, and much harder to defend against. Lissa entered the arena like a ghost. Her pale purple skin seemed to shimmer in the light, and her large black eyes reflected no emotion. Sirens were telepaths, able to read minds and create illusions so realistic that victims couldn't tell the difference between reality and fantasy. Nari had read about mental combat in her studies. But reading about it and experiencing it were very different things. Are you afraid? Lissa's voice echoed inside Nari's head rather than through her ears. You should be. Your body is strong, but your mind. The arena disappeared. Nari suddenly stood on Earth, not the Earth she had left as a child, but Earth as it was now according to the official records. Destroyed. The sky was black with ash, the ground cracked and dead. Bodies lay everywhere, human bodies scattered like broken toys. This is what happened to your people, Lissa's voice whispered from everywhere and nowhere. You're the last one. All alone. Everyone you ever knew is dead. Nari's chest tightened. She knew it wasn't real. She knew it was an illusion. But knowing something and feeling it were different things. She saw Hansal among the bodies, saw Baura, saw people from the academy, all dead because of her. "This is your fault," the voices said. "You brought this on them. You should have stayed hidden." Nari fell to her knees. The grief was overwhelming, crushing. She couldn't breathe. But then something changed. A memory surfaced, something Hansal had told her years ago when she was just a child, frightened and alone on a strange world. "Humans are hard to control telepathically," he had said. "Our minds are too chaotic, too complex. We think in layers and contradictions. We hold two opposite ideas at the same time and somehow make sense of both. It drives telepaths crazy." Nari grabbed onto that memory. She focused on the contradiction in front of her. The illusion showed Earth destroyed, but she knew that couldn't be completely true. The collective's own records had inconsistencies, gaps in the timeline, missing data that didn't add up. She thought about contradictions, about how she was both afraid and brave, both weak and strong, both alone and surrounded by people who might care about her. The illusion flickered. "No," Lissa's voice said, now sounding strained. "Stay in the vision. Accept what you see." But Nari pushed harder. She thought about everything at once. The taste of the food at the academy mess hall, the sound of Biora's laugh, the pain in her broken hand, the feeling of grass on Earth that she barely remembered, the smell of ozone before a training session, mathematical equations and old songs, and the face of every person she had ever met, and the color blue, and the number 7, and the question of whether consciousness was just electrical signals, and what happened after death, and stop. Lissa's voice cracked, the illusion shattered like glass. Nari found herself back in the arena, on her knees, gasping. 20 feet away, Lissa also knelt, her hands pressed to her head. "I cannot ... Lissa whispered, "Your mind is chaos. Beautiful, terrible chaos. I cannot find a thread to pull. You think too much, too fast, in too many directions." Nari stood on shaking legs. She walked over to Lissa and offered her good hand. "Do you yield?" Lissa looked up at her with wonder and exhaustion. "I yield. I have never encountered a mind like yours." She took Nari's hand. Humans are truly different. The crowd was murmuring now. 4 opponents defeated. Only one remained. Nari waited for the announcer to call the final fighter. Her hand throbbed, her ribs ached from Bergen's strikes, and her mind felt scraped raw from Lissa's attack. But she was still standing. Final opponent. The announcer called. Day 1 of ... The crowd fell silent. Complete, total silence. Day 1 entered the arena, and Nari understood why everyone had gone quiet. He looked mostly humanoid, but his skin had the faint golden glow of a luminari. His eyes were human dark, but reflected light like energy rather than flesh. Day 1 of mixed heritage, the announcer finally said. Luminari and ... human. The word echoed through the arena. Another human. Not pure, but half. He had been hiding too, passing as full luminari through careful control of his energy form. They stood facing each other. 2 of the last humans in the collective, about to fight. "I never thought I'd meet another," Day 1 said quietly. His voice had that layered quality of luminari speech, but underneath was human. "I'm sorry it has to be like this." "You don't have to fight me," Nari said. "If I don't, they'll know what I am. My secret will be exposed, just like yours." He raised his hands, and energy weapons materialized in his grip, formed from his own life force. "I've been here for 5 years. I can't lose everything now. You think you'll lose less by hiding forever?" Day One's face hardened. You don't understand. It's easy for you. You're pure human. You can prove what the species can do. I'm just a hybrid. Not enough of either species to belong anywhere. The starting buzzer sounded. Day One attacked with both energy and physical strikes. His luminary half let him move partially out of phase with reality, making him hard to hit. His human half gave him reflexes and strength beyond normal luminary. He was fast, powerful, and creative in ways that combined both species' advantages. Nari defended, but she was tired. So tired. 4 fights had drained her, and Day One was fresh. His energy blasts forced her back, and his physical strikes found openings in her guard. She hit the ground hard. Day One stood over her, energy blade raised. Yield, he said. Please. I don't want to hurt you. Nare looked up at him, saw the fear in his eyes, the loneliness. He had been hiding even longer than she had, denying half of what he was just to survive. No, she said. Then I'll have to. We're both tired of hiding, Nari interrupted. Both tired of pretending to be less than we are. What if we stopped? What? Nari got to her feet slowly. You're afraid that being half-human makes you weak. But look at you. You're incredible. You have advantages that pure humans and pure luminari don't have. You're not less than either species. You're more. Day One's energy blade wavered. They'll never accept us. You've seen how they look at you. Some look at me with fear. Some with hate. Nari smiled despite the pain. But some look at me with curiosity. With respect. Taeyang asked me to teach him. Kira called our fight honorable. Even Vergen yielded with dignity. She stepped closer. We're not monsters, that one. We're just people trying to prove we deserve a place here. And we can't do that if we're fighting each other. Day One stared at her for a long moment. The energy blade in his hand flickered and faded. What are you saying? I'm saying neither of us should have to yield. We already won. We survived this long by ourselves. Imagine what we could do together. The crowd was completely silent now, watching this moment unfold. Day One lowered his hands completely. His golden glow intensified as he made his choice. You're right. I'm tired of hiding. He turned to face Commander Turval in the stands. I'm half human. I've been hiding it for 5 years. And I won't hide anymore. He walked to stand beside Nari, facing the crowd together. We both refuse to yield, Nari announced. This fight is over. The silence stretched. Then Commander Turval stood, his golden light filling the arena. The trial of worth required that you defeat 5 opponents without killing. It did not require that all fights end in yield. He floated down to the arena floor. You have shown strength against Vergen, endurance against Kira, adaptability against Taeyang, mental resilience against Lissa. He looked at both Nari and Day One, and wisdom in choosing alliance over conflict. You have passed the trial of worth. The crowd erupted. Some cheered, some booed, some simply stared in shock. But it didn't matter. Nari had done it. She looked at Day One. Thank you, he replied, for giving me the courage to stop hiding. Medical staff rushed onto the floor to treat Nari's injuries. As they worked, she saw Biora pushing through the crowd barriers, running toward her. Her friend's face was wet with tears. You idiot, Biora said, pulling Nari into a careful hug. You magnificent, stubborn idiot. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me? Biora laughed through her tears. Probably not, but I would have tried to help anyway. Taejiang appeared next, bowing formally. My offer stands. I wish to learn from you. Others came too. Not all friendly, but enough. Enough to show that maybe, just maybe, There was hope for humans in the collective after all. The council chamber was enormous, designed to accommodate representatives from all 12 species that made up the collective. Nari stood in the center, a small figure surrounded by towering seats arranged in a circle. Each seat held a council member, their forms ranging from the familiar humanoid to beings made of pure energy or crystalline structures. It had been 3 days since the trial of Worth, 3 days of medical treatment for her injuries, debriefing sessions, and endless interviews. The news of a human at the Academy had spread across the entire collective. Every planet, every station, every ship had seen the footage of her fights. Commander Turval stood beside her, his golden light a comforting presence. On her other side stood Day One, who had insisted on being present despite the risk to his own position. The Council will now hear arguments regarding the status of humanity within the collective, announced Council Speaker Mora, a crystalline being whose voice chimed like bells. Commander Turval, you may present your case. Turval's light pulsed as he spoke. Honored Council members, 80 years ago we voted to ban humans from military service and restrict their participation in collective society. That vote was based on fear. Fear of human capabilities, fear of their rapid advancement, fear of change. He gestured toward Nari. This human has proven that our fear was misplaced. She trained at our academy for 3 years, holding back her natural abilities, and still ranked in the top 20%. When tested, she defeated 5 champions without killing any of them, showing not just strength, but restraint and wisdom. Council Member Thrak, a massive draken with deep red scales, slammed his fist on his seat's armrest. One human's restraint does not erase the danger the species poses. Humans are too strong, too adaptable. If we allow them back into the military, they will dominate. They will take positions that should go to our own people. And is that not the point of meritocracy? Turval countered. We claim to promote the best, regardless of species. Yet we ban an entire people for being too good at what we ask them to do. It's not about merit. Thrak roared. It's about balance. About ensuring no single species becomes too powerful. Other council members joined the argument. Some agreed with Thrak, others sided with Turval. Nari watched them debate her existence, like she wasn't standing right there. Finally, Council Speaker Mora's chime cut through the noise. Silence. The human will be allowed to speak. All eyes turned to Nari. Her mouth went dry. She had fought 5 champions, survived illusions and pain, but somehow standing here about to speak was more terrifying. Honored Council, she began, her voice steady despite her nerves. You're right to fear us. Not because we're monsters, but because we refuse to accept limitations. Thrak snorted. She admits it. Let her finish. Mora chimed. Nari continued. Humans don't survive by being the strongest or the fastest or the smartest. We survive by being adaptable, by being stubborn, by working with anyone who will work with us, even former enemies. She looked directly at Thrak. My homeworld tried to kill us every day. Predators, diseases, natural disasters, other humans. Everything on Earth was a threat. So we learned to think differently, to try new things, to never give up, even when giving up made sense. She took a breath. You ask what happens if you let humans back into the collective. I can tell you. We'll work harder than anyone else. We'll take jobs others consider too dangerous. We'll volunteer for missions where the survival rate is low. Not because we're suicidal, but because we're used to bad odds. And we'll do it alongside any species willing to accept us as partners. Pretty words, Thrak said. But words don't change facts. If we allow humans back, they will eventually dominate. Then maybe the question isn't whether you can afford to let us in, Nari replied. The question is whether you can afford to keep us out while your enemies don't. The council chamber went quiet. Explain, Mora commanded. Nari had been holding this back, waiting for the right moment. There are at least 50,000 humans hiding throughout the collective with false identities. The council erupted in chaos. Council members shouted over each other, their voices blending into incomprehensible noise. Silence! Mora's chime was deafening. When quiet returned, Thrak leaned forward. You're lying. Humans are nearly extinct. No, Nari said. We're just good at hiding. We've been here all along, working in your factories, serving on your ships, living in your cities. Some are like me, pretending to be other species. Others are hybrids like Day One, who you never recognized as part human. She looked around the chamber. We're not invading your society. We're already part of it. The only question is whether we have to keep pretending, or if we can finally be honest. This is a threat, Thrak growled. No, Turvil said. It's a truth. I've spent the last 3 days verifying Nari's claims. She's right. Humans have been quietly integrating into the collective for decades. They've been contributing, helping, serving alongside other species. His light dimmed slightly. We thought we eliminated a threat by banning them. Instead, we just forced them to hide. And a hidden population is far more dangerous than an open one. Council Speaker Mora was quiet for a long time. Finally, she spoke. The council will vote. All in favor of lifting the ban on human participation in collective military and society, indicate now. Lights appeared above 6 seats. 6 votes in favor, all opposed. 5 lights. 5 votes against. The motion passes by 1 vote. Humans are hereby reinstated as full members of the collective, with all rights and responsibilities that entails. Mora's crystalline form reflected the lights around the chamber. Nari of Earth, you will be allowed to complete your training and graduate from the academy. You will serve as a symbol of this new policy. Nari felt her knees go weak with relief. Day One caught her arm, steadying her. However, Mora continued, you will be watched closely. Any sign that humans are abusing this trust, and the ban will be reinstated permanently. Do you understand? Yes, Council Speaker. I understand. Then this session is concluded. The council members began to file out. Thrak stopped beside Nari on his way past. I voted against this. I still believe you're dangerous? You're probably right, Nari said. But we're dangerous on your side now, not working against you. Thrak grunted and left without another word. Outside the council chamber, Nari found a crowd waiting. News crews, academy cadets, civilians who had traveled from across the collective just to see the human. Security held them back, but she could hear their questions shouted over each other. Nari! How does it feel to be the first human recognized by the collective in 80 years? Will you be contacting other humans in hiding? What message do you have for people who still fear humanity? Commander Turvil guided her through the crowd to a transport ship. Once inside and away from the chaos, Nari finally let herself feel the weight of everything that had happened. What now? She asked. Now you graduate, Turvil said. You have 4 months left of training. Use them well. Those 4 months passed in a blur. Nari threw herself into training with an intensity she had never allowed before. Without the dampening bracelets, without the need to hide, she could finally use her full capabilities. Her scores shot up. She became the top candidate in the academy, just as she had claimed during her trial. Taeyong trained with her whenever possible, learning human combat techniques and teaching her Kalarian methods in return. Biora stayed her closest friend, though their relationship was different now. There was no more hiding, no more secrets between them. Day One became something like a brother. They understood each other in ways others couldn't. Both, having lived in hiding for so long, got other humans, began emerging from the shadows. Some contacted the academy, asking for information about enrollment. Others simply stopped hiding their identities in their daily lives. The number turned out to be even higher than 50,000. Estimates placed the hidden human population at over 100,000 throughout collective space. Graduation day arrived. Nari stood with her class, wearing the formal uniform of a galactic enforcement officer. Commander Terval personally presented her with her badge and rank insignia. "You've earned this," he said quietly, "not just through your abilities, but through your character." The ceremony ended with assignments. Nari waited nervously as names were called and cadets were assigned to various ships and stations throughout the collective. Nari of Earth, the announcer called, assigned to the patrol ship Horizon's Edge, Mixed Species Tactical Unit. She stepped forward to receive her orders. As she did, several other names were called for the same assignment. Taeyang, Baiara, Day 1, and 2 others she had trained with. They had requested to serve together. All of them. A mixed species unit with a human as squad leader. That evening, Nari managed to get a private communication link to Hansol. The old man's face appeared on the screen, older than ever, but smiling wider than she had ever seen. "I watched your graduation," he said. "I'm proud of you. I couldn't have done any of this without you. No, child, you did this yourself. I just kept you alive long enough to do it." He paused. "There's something you should know. Something I wasn't allowed to tell you before." Nari's heart beat faster. "What?" "Earth wasn't destroyed. It's hidden, cloaked using technology we developed in secret. Human civilization has been rebuilding there for 80 years. Hansol's smile grew. "With the ban lifted, we can finally come home to the stars. And you, Nari, you made that possible." Tears ran down Nari's face. "Earth is alive. Humans are still there. Millions of us. We've been waiting, hoping for a chance to rejoin the galaxy. You gave us that chance." After the call ended, Nari stood on the Academy's observation deck, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, hidden but alive. Somewhere out there were millions of humans, waiting to step into the light. The door opened behind her. Taeyang, Bo-Ra, and Day 1 entered, joining her at the window. "Ready for our first mission?" Bo-Ra asked. "More than ready," Nari replied. Their ship, the Horizon's Edge, floated in dock nearby. In 3 days, they would depart for their first assignment, patrol duty along the outer rim, where threats from outside the collective were growing bolder. "Do you think we'll see combat?" Taeyang asked. "Probably," Day-1 said. "The outer rim has been getting dangerous." "Good," Nari said. She looked at her friends, her team, her family. Let them come. Let them see what humans can do when we're not hiding anymore. Bo-Ra laughed. "You know, when I first met you 3 years ago, I thought you were the quietest, most boring person in our class. I was hiding. Well, you're definitely not hiding anymore." They stood together, watching their ship and the stars beyond. Nari thought about everything that had led to this moment. The fear, the hiding, the trial, the revelations. All of it had been necessary. All of it had brought her here. The sensor that revealed human-born hadn't just exposed her secret. It had freed an entire species. And now, finally, humans could stand in the light and show the galaxy what they were really capable of. Not monsters. Not threats. Just people who refused to give up, no matter how bad the odds became. The collective's enemies would learn that lesson soon enough. And they would learn why, for 80 years, the one thing that truly frightened the 12 most powerful species in the galaxy was a single word: human.